And welcome back. I'm your host, David Steele. I want to thank Benjamin for sitting down with me and talking about one of the greatest games of all time, and that is The Last of Us. And he came back and we talked about The Last of Us Part 2, so stay tuned for that in the coming days. Guys, if you like this video or any of the other videos we're doing here on the channel, smash that like and subscribe button. It's the only way that I know you're enjoying the content. Also, leave your comments down in the comment box. Are you excited for the series? Who do you think they should get Ellie? Should they do The Last of Us Part 2? Answer those or any other questions that you may have. Okay, guys, without any further ado, let's get to the episode. So many elements to this game. And, I said it earlier, it's interesting to see how life imitates art. Because we're talking about this in 2023 now, and just 3 years ago, we went through a whole pandemic. Now, was it like... yeah, I know.
3 years ago?
I mean, we're still in it to a certain extent. But the point is, we hadn't seen this for, 100 years. So it's one of those things where this is going to be, and I can't overstate this enough, guys, this is going to be a huge... I really, truly believe, night one, I really, truly believe HBO Max is going to crash. I think it's going to do what House of the Dragon did.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not numbers. I mean, I'm sure they'll put out numbers, but I really do honestly believe that it's going to crash because the anticipation for this, the build-up for this, because people are finally saying that, oh my God, they're actually going to do this. Because it's one of those, we're finally going to get something that's actually good as far as a video game adaptation. And this is what I said. The chains are off, guys. There are no marketing. There is no, there is no rating system. There's nothing. They can do whatever they want. And that's why a show like Breaking Bad, which you were bringing up earlier, was so good, not only because of the story, but because it was on cable.
That's right. Now, say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
There's no way they could have gotten away with half the content they did in that show. And people look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I'm so giddy about this, and he is too, and millions of other people are, because this game changed everything. It really changed Naughty Dog when you think about it.
I think maybe. I think Naughty Dog's its own interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to really talk about it, but I'm like, since you have, Crash Bandicoot, their first project, which is very simple 90s game, run away from the boulder, collect the stuff.
Yeah. So.
Platformer. Then you got Uncharted, which is fun, puzzles, shooting, all of that. Third person, action adventures that is Lara Croft meets Indiana Jones. And story has never been the center of both those franchises. The Last of Us isn't that. It's not a blockbuster. It's not... it is tense, but it is not in that same way. But it's story-first games. Where I hear people who say, oh, it's basically a TV show. And I'm like, no. We can't... I'm saying it is set up to do a TV show well. But there is so much in it that is uniquely a part of a video game that I'm excited to see what adaptational differences they make. Because you can't have us finding letters on the ground in a TV show. But
they will do something. Really I'll tell you something.
For maybe
they will do something. They will do some trinket. It may be maybe not notes on the ground, but there will be trinkets along the way. I won't say Easter eggs, and obviously there's Easter eggs in anything for the fans, but there will be some sort of Easter egg along the way, and it won't be overbearing. So you're like, oh, point that out immediately. It will be background noise, if you will.
Yeah, and that excites me because I'm like, I like those references to the video games and understanding a core part of these games that made them work, but fundamentally, the game, so much of it is learning narrative by going through a sewer and reading notes that people gave each other 10 years ago during the outbreak and finding out what was going on. And as you read them, getting emotionally invested in someone else's story while you're playing in its own story. And I'm excited to see what they do in the show, because I'm like, you have a larger cast. You have way more people. I can't wait to see where they go. You have so much that we didn't see in the game. Because while the game takes place over a year, majority of that is spent in the fall. You have a short section in...
So it does cover the
spent
winter.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's
it
a bit
covers
in
the winter.
summer.
And it's short.
Winter is short.
Yeah.
Spring is very short. Summer is like the first couple acts of the game. Fall is the largest part. And then you have the winter and the spring.
Yeah.
They're shorter by comparison. So I'm very interested to see where we want to cover. What are we going to do? You cover 28,000 miles across the U.S. doing this. You better be doing something with that time. And I know you can't just retread what the game did, because as good as that would be, we have the games already.
So I think...
And I'm excited.
This is just a theory, and I don't know this to be true, guys. I think this first episode is going to be 80 to 85 minutes. I think... So what
that
I
much
think what they're going to do is the whole episode 1 is going to be in Boston. I think the last shot you're going to see, one of the last shots you're going to see, is that shot of them, from the profile, the 2-shot, and then you look at the next shot's going to be from the State House building. And in the game, this is where Joel will pick up the piece of wood, and they will cross the plank all over to the next building. I think that's where we're going to cut off. That's going to be the end of episode 1. Now, I don't know any of this. This is just a hunch. Number 2, there are certain cities that you go through that are, I won't say, they're named. Okay, you have Pittsburgh and you have Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is absolutely going to be a episode in itself. No doubt about that. That's the last one.
It's the last one.
Pittsburgh is absolutely going to be an episode in itself, because this is where they get stuck and they get some of these hijackers, if you will, or resistance, other people, survivors we'll call them, and they try to jump Ellie and Joel. That's going to be an episode in itself. So then you have 6 other episodes that you have to cover all this ground. Now, we know at least 2 of them are probably going to be with Tommy. Okay, so you've got Jackson there. Okay, you're probably going to get introduced to Jackson episode 5, episode 6. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get from Jackson to Salt Lake City in 3 episodes. Now, I have a question.
I mean, one episode is going to be...
As we've seen, because of the shots with the horses there. Let me ask you this question, and Kyle brought this up earlier in the show. Do you think they would actually end this on a cliffhanger, Benjamin?
I don't think so. It's HBO. HBO, if they're going for a second season, they could do it. It is very possible. That being said...
And if they did...
I don't know if they do a cliffhanger. I don't see them...
And if they did, where do you think they would do it?
Before the game ends?
If they were to end it on it, where do you think, at what point? Because, let's face it, I'm going to use a movie reference here, and it was a ballsy move on their part. But you take something like Avengers Infinity War. Okay? Now, that was on the plot point in a plot structure. It's called the point of no return, where you think the heroes are lost, the villain is won, and that's it. And one of the last shots you see is Thanos just sitting on his farm and just smiling, and then it just cuts to black. And we have to wait a whole year to think about exactly what. So the question is, do you think they would end it at a point where we don't know what's going to happen to Ellie? I mean, if you're a gamer or if you play video games and you know the story, you do. But do you think they would actually end it at a point and say, sorry, guys, you're going to have to wait till next year?
If they're going for a season 2 and they want to stretch out the game, you end it when Joel gets impaled. because that triggers a lot of the second season, and I think it would be a smart idea to give a lot of season, or if you were doing that, a lot of time to Ellie, because as much as The Last of Us is Joel's game, The Last of Us Part 2 is Ellie's game, and it recontextualizes all of Part 1 to be a part of Ellie's story. And I think it's something we could use a lot of. It'll be interesting to see how they weave in the Left Behind chapters, because we've seen casting of Riley, which is Ellie's best friend. So
I think that might be
how
a
do you fit
flashback.
those in?
I'll be honest with you. I think that's going to be a flashback.
Yeah, it's 100% a flashback, and I think that's probably like a good winter segment. It's just interesting to me because I'm like, where would you end it that would feel satisfying and interesting to go forward? You do it there, maybe. You don't want to end it before getting to Salt Lake City. Or I guess, like, if you want to go beyond the winter, you want them to get through Salt Lake, but you could have it when Ellie passes out and Joel gets recovered by the Fireflies. That could be a good ending point. I don't know. I think this is a case where I think the source material is very strong on its own and has a good ending point, that I don't see a point adding a cliffhanger in, unless you really are expanding the world so much so that you need a second set of 10 episodes to finish the game.
And that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned in the coming days as Benjamin came back and recorded a whole video on The Last of Us Part 2 and why that is one of the greatest games ever made. Guys, we are only one short week away from HBO Max dropping its biggest series of the year and here on the channel, and that is, of course, The Last of Us. Stay tuned as Tyler, Kyle, and myself will be sitting down and dissecting and critiquing every single episode after it comes on. Also, guys, if you like this video or any of the other videos, hit that like and subscribe button. That's the only way I know that you're enjoying the content. And please, guys, leave me a comment down in the comment section. Are you excited for the show? Should they make The Last of Us Part 2? If they do, who would you get to play Ellie? Okay, guys, do the 3 things you need to do. Be careful, be safe, and have a great day. I'm David Steele, and you have been watching Real Talks.